Guru Nation. Guru Nation. Thank you so much for watching live, listening on the podcast, not live, watching on YouTube, not live. Uh, there is no Jasmine Adams today. I made a mistake. We both misunderstood the wrong thing. She thought I meant Wednesday. I thought I meant today. So we're going to do it. Me and Jasmine, I just did a guest presentation on her coaching sessions, and that's kind of what inspired this live stream and this podcast and this video. There's something going on in the industry about, like, I'm starting to understand something about navigating through cycles. So I've been doing this 17 years. I'm almost 2 decades in, going on three. In 3 years, I'll be on my third decade. All right, that's insane to me. I still have very little experience at the sponsored level. So most of my experience at the site level, the last couple of years, it's been at the CRO level. Maybe the last 7 years, I've had more exposure to the CRO world, namely through a few contract CRA roles at very small companies. So I was a contractor, and then my own through investigator-initiated trials, things I did with the late great Anthony Hoffman, who's an oncologist, greatly missed by the community out there in the Bronx. May he rest in peace. We're still working on one of his investigator-initiated trials on breast cancer study in my CRA Academy. And then Dr. Hazen, Dr. Sabine Hazen, uh, with Progenobiome and the microbiome. And we've done a couple of things for the CRA Academy with that as well. And hopefully pretty soon, some more cool things with the CRO. So point of all this is I've been in this industry 17 years. Now I'm an advisor to Versatrial. I do some sponsorships on the podcast. So there's a lot of tech company exposure. Shout out to Nato, one of the sponsors of my show. By the way, I'm going to do a full video on them because it looks like we're getting our first study through Nato ever, which is huge, huge for us at Yuma Clinical Trials. So point of all this is to an outsider, it seems like, okay, well, I've been in this industry so long. I'm an expert on all aspects. I'm not. All right. Very little do I know about sponsor. Very little do I know about regulatory affairs. Matter of fact, I think, God willing, like Mike Tyson says, we all have a plan until we get punched in the face. I do want to get into the sponsorship side, especially on the biotech side. So we're going to redo this video with Jasmine on navigating your career cycles. And I thought this would be a good icebreaker for this live stream because I scheduled it. I don't want to leave Guru Nation hanging. So I just came solo and do it. Maybe Jasmine's going to join. So yeah, we got to reschedule it. So we've got, and by the way, send your questions. I'm working as an e-source creator. So if I want to move forward, what role should I consider? I think you need because you got to think about who's the end user of the e-source. I think this is very smart, by the way, right? Coordinator is the obvious first choice. It might be tough to become a coordinator just to learn how to make source. What I would do, here's what I would do. I would go to sites in your area, and first of all, only 20% of sites even use eSource. So that means for every 10 sites you go door knock, only 2 of those 10 are probably going to use an eSource of any kind. So maybe a better way would be and to take advantage of the eSource remote context that fits in, your market is actually not necessarily local or regional, it's global. So maybe get on LinkedIn just like you are now. Like, perfect example of what you're doing right now is what I think would work. Start talking about eSource and get to learn some of the tools. There's Creo, who's a huge sponsor of the show. There's a couple of other eSource companies out there. Get to know their execs. Let them know, hey, you know what? I help sites make eSource. I can be an evangelist for your particular brand if you let me demo it. I mean, most of them would let you do that because you would be spreading their brand for them. So you got to learn the tools first. There's probably 5 or so of the platforms. I would start with Creo first and then start talking about it on LinkedIn. And anytime you come across a conversation about eSource on LinkedIn in your newsfeed, you can even just actively search for that. Jump in there and say, hey, what have been some of the issues? These are some of the things. I'm familiar with all the tools, but you're going to have to get familiar with all the tools. So excellent idea. Uh, if you want to just do a role first, I would say a coordinator. That then you would go back to the local strategy of finding local sites in your area and doing it locally, uh, as a coordinator or as a research assistant. But I think if you understand how to make the source, which it's not that difficult, but it also is, it does require some knowledge of how a screening visit goes, how a randomization visit goes. I do think it would be valuable for you to get some site exposure if you don't have any site exposure. Now, if you do, if you're a coordinator or a former coordinator, you can just jump right on in and start creating eSource for sites. And I would go the route of contacting all the eSource vendors, Creo, Real Time, Clinically, to name a few. There's probably a few other ones, and start doing that. So, excellent idea. Same thing, by the way, with e-regulatory. So Viva Site Vault would be one that I would look into. Same thing with business development. I was going to say Inato, the sponsor here. However, Inato is not necessarily good for brand new sites. So you'd have to find sites that have experience and introduce this tool to them. Although Inato is completely free for sites and it's not that difficult to manage. But if you tell a site, this is a great way for you to get a internship opportunity at any site you want. Almost guaranteed, right? Using one of my sponsors, Inato or Viva for that matter. Those two are free, so the sites wouldn't risk much by doing it. Or Versatrial, even. So actually, I'll make a YouTube short out of this one. Using 3 of my 4 sponsors because they are all free: Inato, Viva Site Vault, and Versatrial. I almost guarantee you're going to get internships anywhere you go. You find established site in your area that's small enough to where they are understaffed and need help, but are growing, which are most, like human clinical trials. You got to go in person because the idea for getting your foot in the door is ultimately you want to become a coordinator, right? Presumably, this is why you're doing it. So you would go to the sites in your area and you would pick one of these 3 things. So let's say Inato, right? You tell them, hey, I've scouted your website. I noticed you have experience with weight loss, with diabetes, with hypercholesterolemia studies, with asthma studies. Did you know I can get you an opportunity to get studies for free? I don't want anything out of it. I just want to be able to get some experience on my resume to be a coordinator and shadow your coordinators. And if you like me in 3 months, hire me. I will manage your Inato for you. We will create a profile for you. I will apply for studies for you through Inato. When Inato does their Zoom calls, the coordinator or the site director, whomever, can be on those calls, and I will be in the background but I will just facilitate getting studies for you. Guarantee, guys, you approach 10 sites about this in your area, at least one is going to say, heck yeah, because I would say 8 out of 10 of those sites do not know anything about Inato. So for the 2 that do, you might even get a yes from them because we're busy. We have Inato. I'm the one using it. Katie's the one using it at my site. But what happens when Katie and myself are busy, which is, oh, by the way, all the time? No one's really looking at Inato until I could get new staff, and we're in the process of hiring new staff. So don't try it with Hema Clinical Trials, but try it at a site near you because presumably the goal is to get your foot in the door. Same exact strategy for Viva Site Vault. Hey, you want to transition to eReg? Why don't we just start slowly? Why don't I just make a backup copy of your investigator site file to Viva? When you're ready to learn how to use it, I will teach your staff how to use it. All I want in return is, again, some research experience on my resume. Same thing with Versatrail. Versatrail is also free. I will help your coordinators organize their studies using Versatrail, put all the links to all the portals, all the study contacts, show them how they could save their passwords so it's one click and you're logged in. Same thing with feasibilities. So you can start teaching sites how to use these tech tools. I don't think anyone's doing this stuff right now. I mean, I'm sure there are, but I don't know of any person outside of me on these videos, Brad on these videos. I think these are good ways to get your foot in the door. I'm going to get to these questions. Let me text Jasmine. Okay, no worries. We're going to redo the thing with Jasmine soon because Jasmine's going to pump you guys up too. Okay, questions. LinkedIn user. Hi, Dan. Good to see you. Have you worked with direct primary care physicians for trials? LinkedIn user. This is all I do. This is all I do. Right? My PI right now, primary care. My sub-I, primary care. We're about to expand into another market here, primary care. Like, this is what we do. We build our sites off of primary care, and then we branch off into specialists. So that's how we started Human Clinical Trials. We had family practice, all of his providers within his network, and then he started introducing me to his specialist colleagues, and before you know it, we got a bunch of PIs. What are good ways to engage with sponsors to consider this kind of practice in their R&D projects? Sponsors only care about 3 things right now, right? They care about more, but I'm trying to keep it simple. Right now, they care about you have access to patients, real patients in the community. You have diversity in your patient database, meaning preferably some minority demographics. And you know how to do studies. Notice I didn't say your PI knows how to do studies. Someone from your organization knows how to do studies. This is exactly how I started. If you go to my YouTube channel and click on playlist and click my journey to my new clinic, or I think it's called follow my journey on my new clinic. One of those things like that is on my playlist. It's about these last 2 years, actually a little over 2 years now. I've been documenting my journey of Yuma clinical trials. So you can see, like, you can literally start from the first video and work your way till present and see how I did it. And this is exactly what I did. So rather than me telling you, you can just go watch how I did it. It's a lot of work, a lot. But I know what I'm doing. This is not my first site. So if it were my first site, it would have been a lot more painful. It wasn't too painful so far. Like I said, it's just over 2 years old. I think we're 2 years and 1 month. It wasn't painful. It hasn't been very stressful. There have been moments of stress, but nothing that you would expect from a startup. It's been relatively smooth sailing, despite some employee issues and a couple of things happened. But yeah, so a short answer: hope there is no competition in your community, because that was certainly very helpful for me in Yuma. There were no other sites here. So sponsors had an appetite for this. Sponsors love that my PI has a huge database. My PI already had sales reps from all the pharma companies coming to his office on a weekly basis. It was very easy for me to reach out to the medical scientific liaisons of all these big pharmas and tell them, hey, we do research too. Not only is my PI a big prescriber, but did you know we started doing research? So all this helps. If you're in a more competitive market, the stuff still works. It just takes a little longer. Sana, I got gap in career and was medical writer before. It's getting very tough for me to enter the industry. Any suggestions? Tried to approach local clinical trial clinics for volunteering, but don't get any response. Uh, there's a couple ways to go about it. This is why I suggest, guys and gals, never have a gap in your career. I get it, you go on maternity leave. That's fine. There's nothing stopping you from being a contractor and starting your own business, because that will explain the gap in your career. Now, this is a trick a lot of people do, so you actually got to try to do something, like actually try to get a gig or two, which is surprisingly not that tough if you have experience in something. So, Sana, since it's too late for you to do that because you already have the gap, the advice I just gave Murtaza: go to sites, learn Inato, learn Viva Site Vault, and learn Versatrail, and tell the sites, I will manage this for you. Pick one of those three. Maybe tell them all three if you're ambitious. I will manage these for you to gain internship experience on my resume. If you like me in 3 months, hire me. That's it. They won't wait. If you're good, they're not going to wait 3 months. It'll be a week. I've heard stories of former students of mine. During the interview, they get the job because of this strategy. So that's what I would do. Try to approach local clinics for volunteering, but didn't get any response because you're approaching the wrong way. I'm telling you, you need to approach with these tools. Inato, studies for free. Viva Site Vault, electronic investigative site file for free. Electronic signatures for free. EDOA log, delegation of authorities log electronically for free. All right, and then Versatrail, organizing all your study portals, feasibility surveys for free. Go back to those clinics. Nick, how's it going, Nick? How do you navigate into the CRO world as a CRA without having a bachelor's, or how do I get their attention more without having one? This is tough, Nick. Let me take a sip of coffee. Believe it or not, there's iced coffee in here. Heavily diluted with a lot of water. I also put electrolytes in here. Shout out to my sponsor, Life Boost Coffee. They rarely get a plug on this show. All right, Nick, how much time you got? Because let me tell you a story real quick. Let me read your question for those listening on the podcast. Hi there. How do you navigate into the CRO world as a CRA without having a bachelor's? Or how do I get their attention more without having one? 2.5 years CRC oncology, phase 1 through 4, CRC and senior CRC of general research, including device and surgical device. During and shortly post-COVID, this wasn't a requirement, but in the last 6 to 9 months, it seems to have changed. No, Nick, it's always been a requirement for the most part, at the major CROs. That's the key word I just said, major CROs. It's always been a requirement to have a bachelor's or higher. Now, here's two stories. One is I'm directly involved, and the other one, the same person that I'm talking about, is directly involved. So the first one, shout out to my coordinator for over 10 years, Casey Figueroa. No bachelor's degree. I met Casey in 2012 at one of my old clinics, South Coast Clinical Trials, back in Orange County, California. Casey came in. She was a biller, medical biller. I didn't even really work with her. She was just always around the clinic because one of my nurse practitioners used her. And so we started talking. And then one of my coordinators had to move on. They resigned. And I needed a coordinator. And I asked my nurse practitioner, hey, do you know anyone good? I just lost somebody. I don't feel like being a coordinator right now. She said, yes, Casey. Right? Casey started with me from day one, quick learner. 2012 until just 2021. She was my CRC, so 10 years. 10 years this whole time, and I mean running the show at the site, like not just CRC, but site director, psychometric rater. No bachelor's degree, right? No bachelor's. Chris and I, around 2015, we started our CRO, but it really grew beyond us around 2020. So we needed a CRA. So we started Casey out as an in-house CRA. Now, again, this was our CRO. We don't have requirements. Sponsors at our organization, they didn't care because me and Chris are the CRAs. There are no actual rules or guidelines in GCP saying the CRA must have a bachelor's or higher. It just says CRAs need to be qualified in the field that they're in or in the therapeutic area that they're in. That means anything. That's open to interpretation. Now, the big CROs have gotten extremely conservative, and it makes sense. They're dealing with hundreds, if not thousands, of sponsors. They're publicly traded. They can't afford big mistakes and looking foolish for not hiring educated staff, right? Now, you and I both know, Nick, that you know way more about oncology and clinical research as a CRC for that many years than a brand new CRA who's never set foot in a clinic. But it's a liability thing from the big CROs. So your best bet is the small CRO. If you want, I'm not promising you anything. Send your resume to me. We have a CRO project coming up. And I would find boutique CROs in your niche around your therapeutic area. So I'm not talking about IQVIA, RxL, Icon, PPD, Syneos. I'm not talking about any of these. I'm talking about the ones you've never heard of. They are boutique. They are niche. They are focused generally on therapeutic areas, ultra disease. Sometimes these are just one or two people CROs. All right. Actually, I have three stories. Carla Vera Navas. She owns a monitoring company herself. You can find her on LinkedIn. I would send her your CV. She does not have a bachelor's degree. She has a very lucrative, very successful, I don't know how lucrative it is, very successful phase 1 CRA business. No bachelor's degree. Never went big CRO, but guess what? She works with all the big sponsors. The same Casey, who's now today, actually, Casey is on site monitoring for a trial today for us, for my CRO. She's out there monitoring. The previous monitor to her met the owner of the CRO in a coffee shop This CRA didn't have a bachelor's degree, was working in a coffee shop. The owners of the CRO, again, boutique small CRO, really liked her. She was sharp. They're like, hey, we need someone. Can you do this? It's out of left field, but we can train you. She became a CRA. That's 3 stories right there. The common theme is small CROs. Don't waste your time with the big ones. All right. Hopefully that's inspiring. Alicia, I love her. I know. I love Jasmine too. Look, we miscommunicated. I thought it was going to be today. She thought it was going to be Wednesday. I'm not available today. She's not available today. But it's going to happen. Jasmine Adams, we love her. Okay, I love this question. Thanks, Dan. Is there a platform where we could advertise that we would like to connect with companies? LinkedIn user, what platform are you currently using? I want you to look at the top of your computer screen or your phone and tell me what platform are you on, LinkedIn user. It even says in your name the name of a platform that you are using currently. All right, now advertising, you can advertise on LinkedIn. That's a strategy you can use. But I wouldn't even spend money. I would just do what you're doing right now. Talk to people, network. I'm telling you guys, it sounds like a cop out. It sounds like I'm avoiding the answer. Networking is the answer. That is tricky. Hey, I didn't say it's simple, right? Jennifer McDonald. Hold on, let me drink more coffee. And my light turned off too. Let me turn on the light. Keep the questions coming. Keep the questions coming, Guru Nation. Okay, I am a CRA and I do not have a bachelor's degree yet. Though I'm just less than a year away, my CRO took me in and put me in CRA school almost 2 years ago. It's possible. Smiley face. Jennifer, you are amazing. All right. I want to interview you. If can you please message me? I want to interview you. Because that's another story. There's the fourth one. Okay, LinkedIn user, any big events, symposium, conferences that you recommend for someone that is trying to stay involved on the data side of things? Yes, my own saveoursites.com. Let me put the banner underneath. Let me put the banner underneath. LinkedIn user, I want you to do this right now. This is where you want to go. It's dirt cheap. Saveoursites.com. February. The other ones are expensive. There's other conferences. You're going to pay a lot. Ours is $150. You're going to be paying 10 times this at other places. Right? So, but there are. But your best bang for your buck, it's not even your buck. Right? It's LinkedIn. Rika, CRA Academy student right here. Casey is awesome and very helpful. Casey is monitoring right now. She also is our lead CRA for our CRO. And with that, she's in charge of all the interns from the CRA Academy, all their IMV reports from this breast cancer study. And as we transition from this breast cancer study to our next project, hopefully, spring or summer of next year, right? She's going to be doing that too. Casey's going to be around for a long time. Alicia, thank you so much. Jackia said, how do you spell Carla's name? Carla, C-A-R, just like you did, C-A-R-L-A, and then last name, Vera, V-E-R-A, dash, Navas, N-A-V-A-S. Carla Vera Navas. Amazing person to get to know. I'm telling you guys and gals, and mostly gals and guys, networking is the answer. It's not a cop out. It's not a content creator's lazy answer for everything. It works. I don't network enough. I will be there. Hopefully, save our sites. Can you be that save our sites? So that's where I'm getting it all wrong. Been checking out only the big names. Guys, Oh my gosh, guys. I, small is the new big. You know what? Okay, saveoursites.com. I got to leave this banner there. I can't do two banners at once. I'm going to make a banner for small is the new big. It shouldn't be the new big anymore. Small is where it's at. If you want something unconventional, anything unconventional, unorthodox, you're in a unique situation. I love when people message me, I'm in a unique situation. No, you're not. Everybody's in a unique situation. But those that are truly in unique situations, right, you're not getting any traction at large institutions and large organizations. You're getting at the small. So the lazy thing to do is to say, okay, I've heard of IKEA and PPD and Syneos. I'm going to hit them up. They could care less. A well-oiled machine that those are do not deviate from the norm. They all practice Six Sigma and all this other stuff where they don't like to deviate from the norm. Do you think they're going to do something unconventional? No. You know who's going to do things unconventional? Scrappy companies like DSCS, like Carla Vera Navas, like the niche CROs, the ones you've never heard of. Go start doing your homework. You better start using LinkedIn and start networking with these people. I'm telling you guys. So, yes, you got it all wrong. And it's not just you, it's everybody, almost everybody. Can you list down eSource and eReg platforms? Creo, right? Viva Site Vault, Inato. Those are my three sponsors. Versatrel, that's my fourth sponsor. Now we get into not sponsors. Another eSource is Real Time. Another eReg. Honestly, I don't know any other free e-regulatory other than SiteVault. And then I don't know any other company similar to Nato, and I don't know any company similar to Versatrel. These are my four sponsors, not because they pay me the most, because I'm fans of these companies. I'm a daily user of all of these things. All right. And I got one more sponsor. I'm gonna wait till September 1st to announce who it is. I'm fans. I'm a daily user of these companies. I don't promote things I don't believe in. Shalimar says, "Hey Dan, conversely, can you give advice for someone who has a lot of formal education but is now looking for clinic experience? Thanks." Yep, same thing. Small research clinics, because they're pragmatic. So you approach them with these four tools I just told you, three, because the three are free. Inato, I can help you get free studies with Inato. Sites.viva.com, Viva Site Vault. I can help you turn your ISF into digital ISF. I'll do it all for you and teach your staff. And Versatrel, I'll help you organize all your stuff, all your portals. And I'll do it for you. And I just want to gain experience so I can become a coordinator. 1 month is all it's going to take. They're going to hire you. Sometimes 1 day. I'm already working on Creo. Good. Now you got to find sites that use Creo and that don't have enough staff to make their eSource and that don't want to pay Creo to make it for them. And don't ask me what Creo charges. I don't know. We have our coordinators do it. These questions are good. How do you switch from a CRA to the MSL in general? I think from a CRA, it's actually easier. Well, I don't know what's easier. A more natural, let's say, shift is a medical monitor. But for that, you've got to be either an international medical graduate or an MD or a DO. Now, for an MSL, you can be any of those former things I just mentioned, or pharmacist, PhD, something with an advanced degree, usually a doctorate or higher. That's medical science liaison. That's the bridge between R&D and sales. Medical monitor is the one who sites ask questions about qualification and eligibility and safety issues for uh, their particular patients. So there is no what easy way to do it. It's just network. Again, it's networking, and you have a PhD. I see it. Sorry, Alareza, I see it in your username. So for you, it would be MSL route. You are right, and there's a lot of them on LinkedIn actually. So I would just start networking with MSL. Find the job recruiters won't work with you yet because you don't have MSL experience. Again, find the small biotechs because the sponsors are the ones that hire the MSLs. So find the small drug companies. Like find 50 that you're really interested in either the therapeutic area that they're studying or the investigational product or the platform or the technology. Find something you like about 50 of these companies and go on a deep dive on LinkedIn and try to find and connect with these people and tell them that you're a CRA. You would actually bring a lot of value to the um, small drug company as a CRA. Now, the one risk about approaching these small biotechs, if they don't actually have a drug approved that they're selling, they don't need a MSL yet. At least I don't think they do. But you can position yourself to fit in as something in the clin ops department at the pharma company or the small sponsor company. And it puts you one step closer to MSL, either with that company when they do get a drug approved or with a competitor company that gets a drug approved. So you got work to do, Ali Reza. I have been in research for 8.5 years, and no one will accept me as a CRA or a CTA. Or Brena, somebody will. You're just not looking in the right places. And you haven't found the right people yet to network with. Jennifer Glass, less is more. I agree. Small biotech's good tip. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, that's the problem I noticed. Like, and I used to do this all the time too. Everybody thinks like the household names. Hey, I want to be a MSL, so let me go to Eli Lilly. I mean, it might work, but chances are Eli Lilly wants to hire MSL with existing experience. Again, the bigger you get, the less you want to deviate from the norms. There's a reason why big companies eventually get replaced by smaller companies that become big because the big companies got big by taking risks. And once they make it big, they want to protect where they're at rather than continuing to risk. So eventually, this is the innovator's dilemma. Eventually, small companies take on risk and replace them. So they're not doing unconventional things. They play very conservative when they're big. So they're not going to do unconventional things with you in your career, no matter how much potential you have. Any more questions? This was good. This was a good live stream, guys. And sorry for the pump fake with Jasmine, but we'll get Jasmine on. Make sure you guys and gals check out saveoursites.com. Matter of fact, I'm going to check it live right now to see how many. I have to talk to the team. I actually have to send out an email right now. So I'm going to end this live stream right now. Let's see, LinkedIn user. Last comment, unless I get one more here. I agree with beginning the research career as a site coordinator. Having a nursing degree is also great. Amazing. Clinical research nursing is not very popular, however. The nurses are great coordinators. Yeah, I agree. Look, guys, like, subscribe, comment, share. Remember, unconventional pathways are not going to happen with big companies. Catch y'all later. Bye-bye.